Alrighty, we're all packed up. Got to get a couple things at the Stowe for the volunteer house we're going to do today, Saturday morning. It's I think it's for fathers for the fatherless. A real estate guy that I work with signed on to renovate this house and donate the proceeds. And I don't know if the house is going. I think that house, is just being sold. And it's just a money thing. I don't think we're putting a family in there. But who knows? Either way, it's good stuff. It's gather a bunch of volunteers. Some people who know how stuff and fix stuff, and some people who don't. Just getting some men together and women to do this. It should be good. It's good to give. And I got at least today I'm leading the demo crew on some bathrooms. It should be interesting. I don't know if I'm going to get people who've never picked up a saw or a hammer before, or people who know what they're doing. It's always interesting. The thing I'm concerned about the most is just the amount of people in the house. You can work around other people. It's easier to work around other workers who know how to do the dance. You know, when you're like in a kitchen, two people, and there's a little flow, a little dance you kind of do around each other. When you're sharing the space, it's kind of a learned thing. And because if we're having multiple things going on with people who don't know what they're doing, it can get a little rough, but it should be fun regardless. I just got to stay out of my get her done zone because it drives me nuts. There was one time we were doing a house and the real estate guy had his assistants helping with some whatever last minute stuff. And he's like, yeah, we're all gonna go in there and just tear it up. And I hate to be all cliche, but there was these poor assistants. It's this girl and her sister, and it was literally taking them two people to screw in a light bulb. Like literally. Like it was kind of driving my OCD just a little nuts. And that was just like part of it. Like what the, like can you not invite me to these things? I just would rather work alone. But and I tried to ask him to like do a couple little things. Like it was just kind of one of them things. They're, young people. I don't know if they don't get it or what, but not that I've always been there. When I was young, I'm like, I just didn't have a freaking clue either. I'm older now. Even when it came to this kind of work. I actually started my first handyman business and I sucked at it. It was just general whatever. Cleaning and deck staining, and I sucked at it, and I was like 16. Got a lawnmower in my trunk. But I gave it a whirl. I knew back then you don't put me in a normal job, man. It's just something. Some people they prefer it. They like that structure. It just drives me insane. All right, I got to get some crowbars and stuff. And we got bathroom duty. All right, everybody. So we had a pretty good turnout at the volunteer house. Flips for the Fatherless, that's what it was called. So that was interesting. I mean, I just kind of went in there and went ham on a bathroom and demoed it. And then I had actually my, who was it? It was my wife's kind of cousin's husband. He came from Uganda. It was an arranged marriage a couple of years ago. And came to be a doctor. They love doctors and nurses. And I think he went to school over there for it. And then he had to come here and pass the test, and it's a whole different beast. Took him a couple of years. So he sat there and studied and started popping out kids while the wife worked. I think she's kind of loaded. She was a workaholic too. And but they both came and started doing some work, doing some grunt work. It was nice to watch other people do some grunt work. And then I had him start helping me tear out a tub and shower surround, handing him the drill. And it was like in those movies where like someone who's never touched one gets handed a gun and they just look at it like, And I'm like, I already made the cut on the drywall around the surround. I'm like, you just rip this stuff out, find the screws on the flange and pop them out. We'll tear this tub out. So he did it. He did a little manly stuff because he's really not handy at all. Anyways, we're back. It was pretty good. I only did 4 hours there. I had to get back to this house because I was running so far behind. But here's where we're at with the room. So this paint was so good, I only had to do one coat. I mean, we're just selling the house. I mean, with the lighting in here, you can't tell any of the flaws. And I called the owner and I told him like, hey, it turned out so good on the first coat. We don't really need a second one. I can toss some of that money over to something else we're gonna do in here. I'm like, it's so good, I didn't even have to tell you I didn't do 2 coats, you would have never known. And so, and here's where that thing was. I can still see a little square, but you'd have to really look hard. No biggie. So now they said, okay, since we got a gallon of paint left, let's do this one. So instead of swindling a couple bucks out of them, should have been like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of work, I got another room to do, which adds a couple $100. You know what I'm saying? So why not? And plus they're getting a deal. But first we got to finish up this tile. Didn't turn out too bad. We got to grout it. So we'll grout that up. It didn't turn out too bad considering it was all kitty wampus subfloor there. To do it right, I would have had to just hammer out all that concrete and put a board under there and all this stuff. All right, let me get set up for some grout. All right, guys. Yeah, big shadows here. I'm doing a little grout. Got it mixed. Milkshake consistency. It does look like chocolate milkshake. This is a more rubbery spreader here. I'll try to get some of this dog hair. This floor smells horrible, like dog hair. I just get it on there. I just get it all in the cracks. You get it different angles just to really get it in there. And then you just kind of spread it amongst, but you'll give it a final little good scrape. Get in the next crack, hit it at different angles. You're just getting it in there, clean it up later. I'm gonna get a bunch down in there too. You'll see the cleaning in a minute.